Hi all. In this video we'll try to understand the effects of the 10th house in Vedic astrology as explained by the sage Parashara. The 10th house is called as the Karmasthana, also the house of deeds. Means it not only covers the kind of profession you do for your livelihood, but it also covers the whole deeds. What kind of deeds you do good deeds or bad deeds, right? And 10th house is responsible for it. Okay, you take any other date also, right? So we'll discuss horoscopes in a minute and after some time, but before that let's try to understand the 10th house. So uh, means the strength of 10th house, right? Whenever you want to decide the results of a particular house, you need to understand the strength of that particular house. In order to understand the strength of a house, you need to check what energies are present in that particular house and what is the strength of a lord of that particular house, and what are the planets that are watching your 10th house, and also we can check what the planets that are present in 10th house are present in which nakshatras, means in which constellation specially. That also we can try. So based on all these factors, the strength of 10th house depends, right? So 10th house, if 10th house has lot of strength, means let us say the lord of the 10th house is exalted somewhere in your horoscope. A 10th lord is exalted. Let us see here, the 10th lord is Saturn in the horoscope that you're watching. A 10th lord is Saturn and he is present in the 9th house. So at least this is also a good placement, because a 10th lord is connected to a very benefic 9th house. In Vedic astrology, 1, 4, 7, and 5, 9 are the auspicious houses. So the 10th lord connection with 9th house is good. And at the same time, as the 10th lord is Saturn gives the results very slowly. So even though the 10th lord happened to be a Saturn here, but still, as he is connected with the 9th house, a person's profession would be good only, right? And even the connection of 10th house lord with sun or with Jupiter, with Mars, with Saturn, 10th lord 10th lord's connection with with any of these planets can also give you a government job, right? Or if your 10th lord is connected somehow to your sun, then you may expect a very good government job, right? Even with Jupiter is the next level of government job, right? And Mars the next level, and Saturn is a bit lower level government job you may expect if your 10th lord is somehow associated with these planets. What are those planets? Sun, Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn. And here the 10th lord is Saturn and he is connected with 9th house, the very good house. The 9th house is the Bhagyasthana and is the house of luck. So even though the 10th lord is Saturn, so how is this Saturn here? Saturn is retrograde. So even though it's retrograde, uh, it's good. Means this guy may try to work in his early age, because Saturn is retrograde, right? So retrograde Saturn makes the person to work in his early age itself, right? So this is how you can predict some of the stuff. Now let's see the general scenarios. So you can check the 10th lord's placement in the Navamsha chart, means the D9 chart also. D9 is present here. See, Navamsha is nothing but D9. So the 10th lord here is in ninth house, that is means the 10th lord is Saturn. He is in ninth house. Where he is in Navamsha? In Navamsha, the Saturn is in sixth house. Sixth house is a bad house, right? But at least this is Capricorn, so it's Saturn's own house, so it is strong only. Even though it is in sixth house, still it is strong. Alright. So the strength of this particular 10th Lord Saturn is somewhat better here, because he is connected to ninth house. In the original chart, means the Lagna chart, in the Navamsha chart also he is in its own sign, so he is having a lot of strength here, right? But the only negative point is in the Navamsha, it's in the sixth house, right? So that's the only negative point, and you can reduce some marks because of that sixth house in the Navamsha, right? So 6, 8, 12 are the bad houses in Vedic astrology, remember. Now, uh, even the 10th lord is in its own sign. That is also a very good thing. Here, the 10th lord Saturn is in its own sign. That is a very excellent thing, right? So, because of this, the native may get extreme paternal happiness also, right? Because 10th house somehow so whenever you want to check father related matters, ninth house shows you the mutual relationships with father, and also how much happiness you may get, right? You can also check the 10th house. So both ninth and 10th house both are related to father. Ninth house mainly it deals with the relationships, and 10th house is directly related to your father, right? You can you can directly explain whatever things, right, related to your father. You can explain them by using 10th house, especially if you want to if you want to really understand the mutual relationships between that particular son and the father, right? Then you can check ninth house. Ninth house is mainly for mutual relationships, and 10th house directly is related to father. I observed whenever Ketu is present in the 10th house, Ketu is present in the 10th house, I observed the native's father may get ill health at his early age. At his early age. So Ketu gives this kind of impact to father. Ketu in the 10th house, right? Early illness to the father. Okay. Even Ketu in the 4th house gives early illness to the mother, because 4th house represents mother and opposite to that is the father. So 10th house represents father, right? 4 and 10 are just opposite to each other. Even you can see here, a 4th house is Leo and the 10th house is Aquarius. Both are opposite to each other. Fine. So here, of course, Ketu is not present in 4 or 10, but I'm just telling you, if Ketu is in 4th house, early illness to the mother may happen, and it's the most probably it can happen, right? And when Ketu is in 10th house, early illness to the father happens. Anyways, now we need to understand the 10th house. So 10th house is a house of deeds, the house of karma, right? So if you want to understand a person is doing good deeds or evil deeds, and his influence of father, fame, and whether the native can get any government job or not, that also you can understand by using 10th house. It also represents the pride and knowledge of the Shastras also. Even the ninth house represents the uh, higher learning and religion. But still, 10th house also represents the books learning, right? The knowledge of Shastras also you can explain using 10th house. But 10th house is mainly because why 10th house is the karma sthana, means the deeds that the person uh, that the native can do in his life, right? So the kind of deeds he does, right, are all actually the reflection of all these things. The kind of deeds he does, reflection of all these things, his influence, all these things are related, right? His the means the native's influence, and how is his father, and the fame of the native, right, and whether he can obtain any government job or not, right? So the pride and knowledge of the sastras of this particular native means whether he can get any governmental favor or not, right? Governmental honor or not, and how he is related to his subordinates in the work environment, the employees in the co-workers, right? So let us say in 10th house Ketu is present. So even though the person is able to get multiple jobs because of, right, Ketu is a giver, right? Ketu means Ketu can give anything effortlessly. So uh, even Ketu is good in 10th house. He can give multiple jobs, but the person may feel detached with the work environment. Even he may feel like getting detached with the work environment, with the co-workers, right, with the subordinates or whoever, right? So this is the impact of Ketu in the 10th house, because Ketu is basically, he's a spiritual guy, means he gives kind of detachment, right? Now, even the 10th house is nothing but the house of deeds, house of karma, means whether the person can do any kind of ignas or not, any kind of religious activities or not. All these things you can explain by using 10th house. And of course, the main thing is a livelihood. Livelihood, you need to check the 10th house only. What kind of job the person uh, can do, you can directly explain by checking the 10th house. Let us say a person's 10th house lord is Mercury. So Mercury is related to communications. So the person can be a very good speaker. He may work on a communication side, means he may work as a language speaker, right? He may want to work in learning languages and teaching them, or he can be a software engineer also, because Mercury is related to the logical thinking, the communications, all the software engineering, coding. These things are related to Mercury only. So if the 10th lord is Mercury, the person can be a software engineer very easily. He can become a software engineer, or he can be a multi-language speaker, and right, because it's Mercury is nothing but the communication. Now, yeah, its 10th house mainly represents the livelihood, and the moral values of the person also you can check by using the 10th house, because 10th house energy is very bad. That means the the native has a probability of doing some bad deeds. So obviously you can say the moral values of the person are not good, right? You can say that. So um, all these things means 10th house is deeds, house of deeds. That's what you need to understand, right? And what kind of good actions he can perform, good deeds he can perform using his intelligence or whatever, right? That also you can say, because 10th house is the house of deeds, not only the house of livelihood. right? And as we discussed, related to father also, you can try to see, right? So ninth house is mainly related to, it's an indicator of mutual relationships with the father, means father and son mutual relationships. And 10th house is mainly related to father. It's completely related to father, means matters individual to the father, mainly studied by using the 10th house only. 10th house only. So they are completely, the 10th house is fully dedicated to father also. Whereas ninth house is mutual relationships between the son and father. So let us say 10th house does not have much strength, then ultimately you can understand he may get a lot of obstructions in his work, right? Or he may get involved in some bad deeds, right? A 10th house, if the 10th house does not have much strength, then this kind of things may happen. And the 10th lord, if the 10th lord is with a benefic planet, and benefic planet, that means is in conjunction with a benefic planet in a benefic house. What is a benefic planet? The lord of 1 4 7 10 5 comma 9 is a benefic planet for you. And what is a benefic house? 1 4 7 10 5 comma 9 are the benefic houses. Even the 11th house is also a benefic house, and the lord of 11th is also a benefic lord, right? Let's say your 10th lord is sitting with is in conjunction with 9th lord, and he is present in the 11th house. How beautiful it is, right? Because 10th lord is house of profession, and 9th lord is house of luck, and 11th house is house of gains. So the lord of house of profession and the lord of house of luck both are in conjunction and sitting in the 11th house, that is house of gains. That means it's a very beautiful thing in a horoscope. The person can gain a lot, and he can become a multimillionaire also, means he can gain a lot of money through his job, right? Now, so let's take a bad scenario. The 10th lord is sitting in the 8th house. That's a bit bad, right? 8th house is a bad house, so that's it. Or let us say the 10th lord is sitting in the 6th house in conjunction with the 8th lord. That is also a very bad thing. So the person would be involved in very bad deeds, you can say, right? So, and even the 10th house and 11th house, some 8th lord is coming and sitting in the 10th house. It's also bad, because 8th house is bad. Basically 6 8 12 are bad. Even third is also having some bad energy. Third house is also a kind of bad house in Vedic astrology, right? People think, but third house is house of courage, of course, right? 3 6 8 12, right, are considered as bad, but third house can be given some exception. 6 8 12 are the real bad houses, you can tell, right? The 6th lord is sitting in 10th house, or 8th lord sitting in 10th house, 12th lord sitting in 10th house, not good, right? So because they are the bad houses, they are the bad houses. 6 8 12 are bad houses, and they lords, or just like they are very bad. They are going to punish you some way, right? Uh, they are going to make you feel very bad. They are the cause of your grief, your sorrows. Okay, the 6 8 12 lords. So it's very important to check their placement in a horoscope, right? The 10th lord, let us say, that means the lord of the 10th house, is sitting with Rahu. Rahu is bad, right? Rahu is a bad guy, right? Of course, Rahu's placement in 3 6 means the Upachaya houses. What are Upachaya houses in Vedic astrology? 3 6 10 and 11, right? These four houses are called Upachaya houses. If Rahu is present in Upachaya houses, also in the signs Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, then that kind of Rahu is good. But see, at the same time, right, Rahu is comfortable in those positions, but still Rahu is a bit malefic. He gives some kind of mental tensions always, right? But at the same time, he gives a lot of wealth if he is comfortably placed. Just like I said, 3, 6, 10, 11, the Upachaya houses, and in the signs Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, Rahu is very good. And in the Rahu Mahadasha, uh, if Rahu is in this kind of situation, and in the Rahu Mahadasha, he gives a lot of wealth, a lot of fame also, right? But at the same time, even though he's good, he gives some mental tensions. If he is bad, then you can understand, right? Lot of mental tensions, gastric troubles, skin diseases in the Rahu Mahadasha, right? These are very normal things that Rahu gives, right? So let us say the 10th Lord is sitting in the 8th house. 8th house is not only the house of longevity, means Ayusthana, people say. It's not only the house of sudden events, the house of accidents, house of longevity. It's not only that, it's also the house of bad deeds. If 10th house Lord is sitting in the 8th house, you can clearly say the person may get involved in some bad deeds, right? He can he may do some bad karma. You can tell that, right? So the 8th house is basically the house of evil deeds. So whenever this 10th Lord is sitting in the 8th house, so the person would do some evil deeds through his profession, or the karma, whatever he does, he may involved in bad karma, means some wicked karma. Even he would be inclined to earn his livelihood through some bad deeds, like maybe some antisocial activities, or something like smuggling also, right? Theft, all these things. And if Rahu is also coming and joining in this particular thing, right? When Rahu is coming, these things are much more enhanced. Means the 10th Lord sitting in 8th house in conjunction with Rahu in the 8th house, right? So Rahu in 8th is of course bad, and the 10th Lord is coming and sitting in the 8th house. So both Rahu and, means Rahu always acts as an amplifier. He's like a smoke, right? So he acts as an amplifier. So the 10th Lord is sitting in 8th house, so bad karma, and the Rahu is also in the 8th house, then it's amplifying the bad karma. Means like the person would become a smuggler, would become an anti-social element in the society, do some anti-social activities, or he may become a thief also. Always remember, Rahu redoubles the quality of the planet that it is in conjunction with, right? So there's a multiplying effect whenever Rahu, so let us say Rahu is with your Mars. What is Mars? Mars is anger. In whichever house it is present Mars, it doesn't matter, right? If it is sitting with Rahu, Rahu is going to multiply the effect of Mars. Rahu is, let us say, Rahu is sitting with uh, something like Mercury. So he's going to enhance the behavior of Mercury, right? So Rahu is sitting with Mars. Mars is nothing but anger, right? The courage, the sexual drive. So if Rahu is also sitting with Mars, the person may have a lot of anger, a lot of courage, and also a lot of sexual drive, you can say, because Rahu is going to multiply the impact, right? But the exception is something like Rahu Jupiter, right? It's called as Guru Chandala Yoga, where Rahu fights with Jupiter. Means Rahu tries to decrease the strength of Jupiter. So Rahu Jupiter conjunction is a different scenario altogether, right? Jupiter is a positive guy, means he's an auspicious guy, and Rahu is a kind of is a asura, right? So the Rahu and Jupiter, so Rahu always try to reduce the strength of Jupiter, right? When Rahu and Jupiter are together, right? when Rahu and Jupiter are in conjunction, Rahu tries to reduce the auspiciousness of Jupiter. So Jupiter also he would also get tired fighting with Rahu. In that case, yellow sapphire, a stone, a gemstone called yellow sapphire, would benefit the native because if provided if Jupiter is in a good condition. If Jupiter is associated with 6, 8, 12, you should not wear yellow sapphire because uh, means yellow sapphire is a gemstone related to Jupiter, and a native must not wear a gemstone related to 6, 8, 12. So if your sixth lord is Jupiter, let us say, better you do not wear yellow sapphire because your sixth lord is Jupiter, right? So it's not a good thing. Even if your eighth lord is Jupiter, do not wear yellow sapphire. 12th lord is Jupiter, do not wear. Or your Jupiter is sitting, maybe your Jupiter would be a lot of some houses, like second house or some other houses, but he is sitting in 6 or 8 or 12, then also better do not wear yellow sapphire, right? And when some people prefer, if your ascendant lord happen to be Jupiter and he is in 6 or 8 or 12, that is in bad houses, but still some astrologers advise to wear yellow sapphire because ascendant lord is always, right, he is always great. Wherever he is present, he is going to do something good, means, right, because he is responsible for your being here, the ascendant lord. So somehow he wants to do good. So if your ascendant lord is Jupiter and he is sitting in sixth house, then sixth house is what? Sixth house is related to the debts, diseases, and uh, enemies, right? So then you may be working, means Jupiter is your ascendant lord and sitting in sixth house. So in that case, what happens? You would be placed in somewhere the credit management department. You would become very great in the credit management department, or whatever the debits related, means the debit related stuff or enemies related stuff, right? You may be working in those areas, right? um, Means you may work with this kind of diseases related, means hospitals. You may work there. You may be very good in those departments, related to those departments, right? So this is how the ascendant lord, even though placed in a bad house, can do something good, right? That's why people generally prefer a gemstone of the ascendant lord. Fine. Now, so 10th lord also represents the livelihood, and but see, the 10th lord is present in the 8th house, but with the practical scenarios, even though the 10th lord is present in 8th house, this kind of placement would involve the person in some bad karma, but this placement is good for the people aspiring their career in leather shoe industry, and also the insurance industry, also the mining industry, right? So eighth house is a kind of deep house, always deep thought, deep thinking. Eighth house is very, it's like a deep ocean, right? So mining industry would be good if your 10th house is 10th house lord is sitting in the 8th house. 8th house is like a deep ocean, so definitely you would be very good in the mining industry. So try mining industry, and also insurance and leather shoe industry is also good for you if your 10th lord is in 8th house. But somehow please take care that you are not involved in any bad karma. If Rahu is also present with your 10th lord in your 8th house, then there would be a lot of possibility that you may involve in some kind of bad deeds. So please take care of it. Okay. Your 10th lord is sitting with Saturn somewhere. Saturn is always bad, right? Saturn is considered as bad guy. Of course, Saturn may give a lot of things, and those things are uh, okay. But in olden times, when Rahu and Ketu were not at all present, they were not at all involved, or they were not at all invented. Rahu and Ketu were not at all invented. Um, that times, people used to attribute all the bad things to Saturn only, right? Because they cannot attribute bad things to other planets. Like Jupiter is good, Venus is good, because Jupiter is knowledge, higher learning, auspiciousness, growth, expansion, right? It's related to Jupiter, is very auspicious, right? And also Venus is it's luxuries, relationship energy, pleasure, all the stuff. Mercury is logical thinking, communications, academics, intelligence. Mercury is that, right? And and what is Mars is courage, anger, sexual drive, and also, right, in a female chart, Mars may represent the boyfriend. And um, so what to which planet we can attribute bad things? Sun represents your self-esteem, uh, your you can say your ego, or your self-esteem, basically, right? Sun also represents your health, all the stuff. So they cannot attribute more bad things to Sun. But Sun is also bad in, especially I observed that the 12th lord is in conjunction with Sun, and that person is going to experience downfall in his life. I observed this in so many horoscopes. If the 12th lord is sitting in some house, any house, right? 12th lord with Sun, 12th lord in conjunction with Sun in any house, it is going to show hell to the person. It's going to show hell. uh, Expenses would be very huge, and also it's going to show hell to the person, basically, right? This was said by sage Parashara, right? In the 12th house discussions, he said it, and I also observed it in some horoscopes very clearly. Okay. Now, yeah, see, Sun is like that, and what else? Moon is your thoughts and emotions. Sun also represents your father, right? So Moon is your mother, mind, thoughts, and emotions. And you cannot attribute more bad things to Moon also. So what else? You cannot attribute to bad things to Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Sun, Moon. Then to whom you can attribute? Again, there's only one thing left, that is Saturn. Saturn is a slowly moving planet, and it's also a kind of uh, it represents the hardships, right? So in olden days, before Rahu and Ketu were invented, they used to attribute most of the malefic nature, most of the bad things to Saturn. After Saturn, Mars was a bit malefic those days. Okay, even in these days also, any involvement of Mars in the marriage related energy, it's not very auspicious, right? Even in the marriage related matters, Saturn's involvement or Mars involvement is not at all auspicious, right? Troubled marriage, it may indicate some kind of troubled marriage. Let us say your seventh lord is sitting with Saturn, bad. Seventh lord sitting with Mars, bad. Or Saturn is sitting in your seventh house, it's also, right, bad, because any connection of your seventh house with Saturn or Mars is a bit bad. It may give you some troubled marriage. That is the That's the most general prediction we have, right? Yeah. So if your 10th lord is sitting with Saturn, let us say he's also sitting with Mars, so your 10th lord is in conjunction with Saturn and Mars, let us say. So then just imagine it's a very bad thing, right? Uh, so he may experience some kind of problems, difficulties in his work environment, his work life. He may get a job very lately, or some malefic energy is involved with the 10th lord, right? So it represents some bad deeds also. And let us say the 10th lord is present in the 7th house. 7th house is not only the house of marriage, it is also the house of business, right? Business, partnerships. So if your 10th lord is sitting in 7th house, then you would be good in business. You may do, most probably, you may do some kind of business activities. At the same time, in the 7th house, a 10th lord is present, and in addition to this, if Saturn or Mars is also joining at 7th house, then obviously you can see this bad things going to happen in your business, right? If you do business related stuff, obviously, right? And bad things may happen, and it's very bad. Basically, Saturn and Mars are sitting with the 10th lord. It's very bad. The person may not earn much also, the livelihood also he may not earn much. He just lives his life to just get some food, and that's it. That's it, right? May not do very great things in his life. That is how it works. A 10th lord sitting with this particular Saturn, Mars, uh, and even if the 10th lord is sitting in 7th house alone, no other planet is involved, let us say, it's like he may do some business, and it's, if the strength is very good, means no Saturn or Mars aspect. So you know, right? Saturn aspects 3, 7, 10 houses from wherever it sits, right? Mars aspects of 4, 7, 8 houses from wherever it sits. So if there is no Saturn and Mars aspect on your 10th lord, that is very good. Okay. Let us say your Saturn happened to be your 10th lord, but he is sitting in 9th house or 11th house. That is also good. Right? Is also good. Because of this 10th house and 9th house, 11th house, all this stuff. Right? The good houses. So the 7th house represents the trade and business, of course. So the 7th house should not have any bad. If 7th house has some malefic planet, and if you are interested in business, you may experience some kind of losses in the business, because 7th house is important when you choose your profession as business. 7th house is also important. The strength of 7th house, the 7th house lord, the strength of 7th lord, and how this 7th lord is associated with 10th lord, that is also very important if you choose business as your profession. If let us say your 10th lord and 7th lord sitting in 12th house, how bad it is. A 10th lord and 7th lord conjoining means, or in conjunction in 12th house. They are in 12th house. What does it mean? 12th house is like a big hole, right? So if you do any business, you may get a lot of losses, every time losses only. 10th lord and 7th lord sitting in 12th house. So please always check your 7th lord strength also if you are interested in business. So always check uh, this 10th lord strength for your profession, and also to know about your father alone, right? Also what kind of deeds you do, what kind of yajnas you do, what kind of karma you generate in this life, all these things. uh, Let us say your 10th lord is in conjunction with Jupiter. It's very beautiful, right? uh, Jupiter is very auspicious planet. He's an expander. He always gives you very good results. Jupiter is provided, of course. Jupiter must not be the lord of 6, 8, 12, because the 6, 8, 12 are the bad houses. So it is going to reduce the strength. It's not like Jupiter is your 6 or 8 or 12. He's going to give complete bad things. It's not like that, but the strength of Jupiter is weak in that case. Obviously, your good results may not be that much great, because your Jupiter is not good and your 10th lord is sitting with a bad Jupiter. What kind of good things he can give you, right? So, and let us say that there are so many good things, like 10th Lord is sitting in 9th house and also is exalted. Oh, how great it is. Or 10th Lord is sitting in 11th house and also exalted. Very great thing. And our 10th Lord and 9th Lord are sitting in 11th house, and one of the two lords exalted in the 11th house, and also it's very good. Always remember 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9 are very good uh, houses, right? So always check this stuff. And what else we have? um, Now let us say the sun is in conjunction with Rahu. Sun and Rahu are both are enemies, right? Even Rahu and Moon are also enemies. Okay, the Sun is in conjunction with, let us say, all the bad planets. What are the most malefic planets? Rahu, Saturn, and then Mars. It's the order, right? Rahu is most malefic. Of course, if he is in 3, 6, 10, 11 Upachaya houses and signs, Virgo, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Cancer, he is also a bit, not a bit, is very good in that, but at least a bit gives some malefic impact, even though he is very good in those placements. Okay, let me tell you the very general prediction. Sun is in conjunction with Rahu, Mars, Saturn. All of them are in the 11th house, right? So here says Parashara is not at all talking about the 10th house, right? The house of deeds. Also not at all talking about the 8th house, the house of evil deeds. Also not talking about the 7th house, the house of business. It's not talking about all this. It's only giving you a very practical observation that he encountered. That is, Sun, Rahu, Mars, and Saturn. These four are present in 11th house. Then what happens? Four planets in one house, that house is 11th house. That is the house of gains. In that case, a native is going to be failed to perform his duties, right? So, why he is directly telling this kind of, he's telling this kind of statement without without taking care of 10th house? Because see, sun is the significator of this, sun is the significator planet of this particular karma that you generate, because he represents your soul, right? So any kind of malefic influence on sun is not at all good. Like Rahu, Mars, and Saturn, these aspects on sun, it's not good, right? Because it's this particular sun represents your willpower also, your self confidence, your soul's energy is sun. So he represents the self-confidence, the willpower. So what happens if these malefic energies like Rahu, Saturn, Mars, these are sitting with your sun, then your confidence, you may lose the confidence. Also, you may lose your willpower. So because of that, the power to perform your own duties will be weakened, right? So whatever efforts you put, those will become incomplete, right? So sun's placement is also very important whenever you want to decide what kind of karma the person is going to generate in his birth, right? Sun's placement is also very important. So now you got it right. So whenever you want to check what kind of karma a person generates, you need to check the 10th house, of course, and also if he and also the relation between 10th house and 8th house, because 8th house is house of evil deeds, right? It's not only the house of longevity, a house of sudden events, accidents, not only means the house of occult sciences, right? Eighth house is related to that. Not only that, eighth house is also house of evil deeds. So if you want to check how much bad karma a person is going to generate, you need to check the eighth house also. So the karma related stuff, you need to check the 10th house, 8th house, and if the person is interested in business, you may need to check the 7th house also, because 7th house is house of trade, house of partnerships. It's not only the house of marriage. Okay. Now, who is the karaka of, means who is the significator of this particular the deeds, right? Because your soul, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your willpower, all these things come into picture when you want to perform karma. So who is giving all these things to you? Sun is giving you. Sun is giving you. So sun represents the soul, the self-esteem, the self-confidence, uh, also the willpower. So if a person does not have a very good sun, he may not have a very good willpower, he may not have very good self-confidence, then he would be failed to perform his duties. So what is weak sun? Most means weak sun is badly placed, is a bit weak sun. If sun is with this particular Rahu, Saturn, Mars, it's also very bad, right? Rahu and sun are enemies, and of course Saturn and sun are most enemies, even though sun and Saturn, sun is the father and Saturn is the son, means sun and Saturn are father and child, right? But still there's a story, there's a mythological story that sun initially was not so very happy to accept Saturn as child, and Saturn later that Saturn is also because of, means sun is not very much not having so much of anger on Saturn, but he is he was a bit refused, he a bit refused to accept Saturn as sun. So because of that, Saturn was a bit discouraged. Saturn was not so happy with sun, so Saturn has a lot of anger on sun. That's why even in the Kalapurush Kundali, sun exalts in Aries, whereas Saturn debilitates in Aries. And sun debilitates in Libra, just the opposite house of Aries, whereas Saturn exalts in Libra. See the connection? Right? And Aries and Libra are just the opposites in the Kalapurush Kundali, right? Libra lies exactly opposite to Aries, right? So in Aries, Sun is exalted, but in Aries, Saturn is debilitated. And in Libra, Sun is debilitated, whereas Saturn is exalted in Libra. So that's why you can see Sun and Saturn are bitter enemies, even though they are father and son. And of course, Mars has some malefic impact. So even though Sun and Mars are good friends, but still, Mars's impact means with Sun is not so good in doing good karma, right? Because Mars is related to that anger and all this stuff, right? So that is the main maleficness of Mars. It has that anger aspect coming. Okay. Now, so if you're, let us say, Jupiter and Venus, these are the very good planets. Till now, we talked about the bad planets like Rahu, Saturn, and Mars. Now, we talk about something good also, the Jupiter and Venus, the happiness giving planets, the auspiciousness giving planets. Let's talk about them also, right? So, just a minute. Let me put charging. Right. Now, so let us say Jupiter and Venus. So here, sage Parashara is giving one reference. Jupiter and Venus are situated in Pisces, right? Means there are so many good things. Jupiter and let us say Jupiter and Venus in Pisces, in the sense Jupiter's own house is Pisces, of course, Pisces and Sagittarius. So Jupiter is very much comfortable in Pisces, and Venus is exalted in Pisces. So if that Jupiter and Venus are together, they're placed in Pisces, how much beautiful it is, right? And also the ascendant lord is also having good strength. Let us say ascendant lord is also uh, present in some good houses like 1 4 7 10 5 comma 9, and even more, the more good houses 1 4 10 5 comma 9. Let us say the ascendant lord is placed in one of these houses. Let me remove that 7 because that is the Marakasthana, right? Marakasthana means it can cause death, right? This 2 comma 7, these are called as Maraka houses. In Vedic astrology, 2 comma 7 are called as Maraka houses, means the death uh, giving houses. Why they are called like that? Because see, the first house is your ascendant, means that is giving you the life. The first house is the main thing of your life, right? It is the cause of your existence. And who is just opposite to it? The seventh house. So that is why, right? The seventh house is just opposite, right, of your life. First house is life, so seventh house is related to Maraka. And why this second house is also called as the Maraka house? If you check the eighth house is house of accidents, house of sudden events. It's also called as house of death, eighth house. So which house is opposite to eighth? Eighth house is called as house of longevity also. Sorry, remove that statement. House of death is the house of longevity. Eighth house is house of longevity. So opposite to eighth house you have second house. So that's why they are treating the second house is also just opposite to the longevity. So it is also a Maraka house. So 2 comma 7 are called as a Maraka houses. Okay. Now your ascendant lord is also very much stronger. That's why 1 4 7 and 5 comma 9 are auspicious. In that also, if I want to remove one less auspicious thing, then I will remove seventh one. So finally I would be left with 1 4 10 5 comma 9. These are the best houses. Okay, these are the best houses. So now let us say Jupiter and Venus are present in Pisces, and also the ascendant lord is also very nicely placed. Let us say ascendant lord is in ninth house. He is very comfortable there, let us say. Okay. And moon is also, let us say, exalted. Moon is also having a very good strength in the horoscope. Moon represents your mind, your thoughts, your emotions. So everything is very good. In that case, the person uh, may do lot of good karma. Because of that person, everybody can get benefited. Because see the energies, Jupiter and Venus in Pisces, where Jupiter is present. In Pisces also, Pisces represents this kind of religious activities and also the sacrifice, right? Good deeds. That one, Pisces energy is very nice. And in that Pisces, the Jupiter is present, the very good Jupiter. Also, the Venus is present. Venus is exalted in Pisces. Jupiter and Venus in Pisces, and also the ascendant lord is in one of the good houses like 1, 4, 10, 5, 9. And then moon is also very good. So the mind, thoughts, and emotions are good for that particular native. So the native would like to perform a very good deeds in that case, right? So even religiously, right? So you can understand Pisces is related to that sacrifice, the salvation, the liberation, right? So Venus, why sage Parashara is telling Venus also, Venus in Pisces. Venus represents how a person wants to take enjoyment, right? Venus represents how a person enjoys, how a person wants to take pleasure. If Venus is in Pisces, Pisces is a sign of sacrifice, is a sign of liberation, salvation, and doing ignas, that kind of religious energy. All these things are related in the Pisces. So if Venus is present there, so the person feels very happy when he performs yajna, when he performs uh, the religious activities, right? When he performs some sacrifice, because Venus is Venus is how a person wants to take pleasure, how a person enjoys by doing what, right? So that Venus presence in Pisces is very important here. That's why, right? So the person is very good there. The person enjoys in doing good deeds. So he always does good deeds only, right? So he doesn't care about the physical pleasures, all this stuff, right? So his enjoyment is in doing good deeds. He gets some enlightenment in doing good deeds. And moon. He is also talking about moon uh, because a good moon represents good thoughts, good emotions, good mind. Because people say Chandrama Manaso Jataha, means moon is born of the mind. So this is a Vedic statement, means a mind. Uh, the moon came from the mind, because even whose mind? God's mind. So moon was born, means at the time of creation. The moon came out of brain of God. This is a statement written in. So that's why people say moon represents your mind, because man is made in the image of God only, right? Man is just like, means Paramatma is a bigger thing, and whereas the Atma is a smaller version of that, right? So the energy of this particular moon is related to the Paramatma's mind. So the small guys, means the Atmas, the persons living on earth, right? The human beings, their mind is also having this kind of energy only, the moon's related energy. So all these things are uh, having the same kind of energy. The Paramatma's mind, the the human being's mind, and the moon, right? All these are energies are very much similar. So Chandrama Manaso Jataha, right? Fine. So with this kind of placement, the person would be like a very great person. Jupiter, Venus in Pisces, and Moon in good Moon is in good placement, and Ascendant Lord is also very good. Always remember, here I'm trying to tell you one important thing. Venus represents how a person wants to take enjoyment, how a person takes pleasure. That is Venus. And let us say Venus is in Scorpio in one chart. Leave which number, the house number, leave it. Only I'm talking about Venus Scorpio. Venus is what? How a person wants to take enjoyment. And what is Scorpio? Scorpio is like a deep ocean, and also Scorpio represents private parts. In Kalapurush Kundali, Aries, Kalapurush Kundali means Aries is the first house, let us say. For Aries, they gave some organs and then for Taurus, some organs are assigned. For Gemini, some organs. Like that, sage Parashara assigned each sign some organs. Private parts of human being are assigned to Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio is something like the person wants to take pleasure in some sexual activities and also very deep emotional uh, activities. He takes pleasure, right? Whereas this Venus is in Pisces, why people say, why our sages say Venus is exalted in Pisces? That was the Vedic times actually. In Vedic times, they mentioned Venus is exalted in Pisces because the time dharma was the main motive, right? When a person takes enjoyment in doing the religious activities and trying for salvation, trying for sacrifice, then those karmas are called as very good karmas. That's why they mentioned Venus is exalted in Pisces. But in the modern days, let us say people want more sex. Let us say, right? In that case, you may need to say Venus is exalted in Scorpio. Because if sex is a main motive of the society, that case you have to say this statement, right? But for the benefit of the society, you should not say that. We should always say dharma as the main motive, right? So if dharma is the main motive, then yes, you have to say Venus is exalted in Pisces. All these statements made by our sages, they're mainly based on a society that they saw in those Vedic times. In Vedic times, dharma was the first thing, right? They gave a lot of importance to dharma, the religious activities, the homas, the yajnas. All these things they gave a lot of importance, right? So it's very auspicious when a person takes enjoyment, takes pleasure in doing good deeds, in doing yajnas, in doing religious activities, sacrifice, salvation, liberation. In these areas, if a person takes a lot of enjoyment, then that is very good for the society. That's why they say Venus is exalted in Pisces. Fine. So, and also see, the 10th lord is in 11th house, that is very good. Even the 11th lord is in 10th house, that is also good. Even the ascendant lord is in 10th house or 11th house, it's also very good. And any connection of this particular 1, 10, 9, 11 is very auspicious. The person would become wealthy, right? Because first house is your ascendant house, and 10th house is house of profession and house of karma. 11th house is house of gains. 9th house is house of luck. Any relation among these four, right, houses is very auspicious. A person is going to experience a lot of auspiciousness, a lot of some wealth also, right? Now, so this is uh, this is one thing. And what else? The 10th lord, let us say 10th lord is in the ascendant house together with the ascendant lord, and moon is also very well placed. Then of course the native is going to do some good deeds. So as long as moon is very good and the ascendant is very good and 10th lord is very good, then person is very much interested in doing good deeds, because moon represents mind. Mind is very good, emotions are good, done. Ascendant lord is good, so the person is very having good strength, good. The 10th house is having, 10th lord is having strength, 10th house is having good energy, nice. A person is going to be involved in good karma. That's it. So if Saturn is coming in between somewhere, spoiled, karma is bad, karma will come into the picture. Um, right? So Saturn also represents a kind of laziness, also the hardships, laziness, or lethargy, because Saturn is a slowly moving planet. So Maharshi is telling, a sage Parashara is telling, Saturn together with a planet in his debilitation sign occupies 10th house. So where Saturn gets debilitated? In Aries. Let us say Aries happened to be your 10th house and Saturn is sitting in the Aries, 10th house. So Saturn is debilitated in Aries. Okay. And also any malefic planet is coming there. Let us say Rahu is coming. Rahu and Saturn sitting in Aries. How bad it is. See? Saturn is debilitated, Rahu is amplifying that debilitation action. Saturn, who is actually making you to work? Saturn is, right? Saturn is the mainly related to hard work. Saturn is always related to that hard work, this kind of stuff, right? So if that is itself is debilitated, so in that case, and also a malefic planet is also joining it, then the native would be bereft of actions, right? He would not do much actions. He would be very lazy. He's a very lazy guy also, right? And when 10th lord occupies the 8th house and 8th lord is occupying the 10th house, then you can understand 8th house is house of bad deeds. So 10th lord is in 8th house, 8th lord is in 10th house. So obviously the person would be involved in bad deeds, very bad deeds, right? So let us say another example uh, sage Parashara gave. 10th lord is in its debilitation sign. So 10th lord is debilitated, so bad karma. And both the 10th house and the 10th from the 10th house, it is called as Bhavad Bhavam, right? From one house, you're checking another house, right? There's a concept of Bhavad Bhavam. So 10th from 10th means 10th from 10th means what? 7th house from ascendant, right? And that is also with some malefic planets, then definitely the native is going to face lot of obstructions in the accomplishment of his actions. 10th from 10th is 7th house, means 7th from ascendant. So we discussed, right? 7th house is also related to the trade, the relationships, right? Business relationships. So if 10th lord is debilitated and also there's no energy in the 7th house related, means 7th house is also occupied with some malefic planets. 7th house occupied with malefic planets, 10th lord is debilitated. So native would face lot of obstructions uh, in achieving his goals. In doing good karma, he faces a lot of obstacles. Let us say moon is in the 10th house, right? And moon is in the 10th house, then what happens? If that moon is very good, means it is a waxing moon, then it is good. It is a waning moon, that is a bit bad. What is waxing moon? It's increasing moon. From the first day to the Paurnami, means the full moon day, the moon is an increasing moon or a waxing moon. That kind of moon is present. So for that you need to check what kind of moon you had at the time of your birth, right? So right, generally in the Shukla days, there's Shukla Paksha, means 15 days of a month, Shukla Paksha, and another 15 days of a month are Krishna Paksha. So in Shukla Paksha, what happens? The moon is going to be increased. It's increasing, means it's called as a waxing moon, and finally you see the full moon day, the Paurnami. And after that, moon is going to be decreasing. After Paurnami, moon diminishes, moon wanes, means it's a waning phase of moon, and finally you will see no moon day. So in the waxing phase, the moon is gaining energy. So that is a very good moon, right? So if that kind of moon is present in your 10th house, that is also a very good thing. Fine. Even there is another thing. Let us say you're born with moon in your 10th house, but let us say the moon is a decreasing moon, a waning moon, and that is also auspicious if you took birth in the morning, because in the morning you don't see that energy, right? So in the Krishna Paksha, if your moon is in 10th house and you were born in the morning, then it is good. In the Shukla Paksha, if your moon is in the 10th, if you're born at night, that is good. Because at night in Shukla Paksha, you have that kind of good energy. And in the Krishna Paksha, at night, you don't have good energy. So it's better you born in the morning. Right? You got it? Right? Fine. So this is how the 10th house energies, the strength of the 10th house is decided. So it's not like, you do not need to understand what if my sun is present in 10th house, what if my Saturn is present in that. You know the strength of each and every planet, right? Means this planet is the lord of which house? This planet is a lord of 6, 8, 12, then he's a bad guy. If this planet is a lord of 1, 4, 7, 10, 5, 9, leave that 7th house, 1, 4, 10, 5, 9. Okay, he's very good. And what is his position, where he is placed? Even though he's the 5th lord and sitting in some 6th house, then see the strength is reduced. Decide the strength of a planet, decide the strength of the energies associated with a particular house, then you can understand what kind of deeds a person can do. Now I will show you some examples. So let's take any date, something like this one. Here, the 10th house. See the 10th house? 10th house is related to Rahu, Moon, Jupiter in my mobile screen. So Jupiter is present, a very beautiful energy. Moon is, but I need to check what is this Jupiter. He is the lord of which houses? I will check. I will do it. But initially, I am just doing Jupiter, Moon are present, right? That's a very good thing. When Jupiter and Moon are together, it's going to give a lot of there's a yoga actually. That conjunction is a yoga. How much closer they are? So Jupiter is at 26 degree, it's retrograde. Even a retrograde Jupiter is good. Jupiter and Mercury, if both Jupiter, Mercury, even though they are retrograde, they are good. Saturn retrograde has some kind of mixed opinions, but some people say it's bad. And Venus, Mars retrograde are, of course, they're bad. Venus retrograde is going to give, it's a stuck. You may stuck in your love life if Venus is in retrograde status. You feel a kind of insecurity in your love life, right? So that is retrograde Venus, right? And retrograde Mars is something like, Mars represents your anger, your sexual drive, your courage, right? So generally people say retrograde Mars may you decrease your confidence, means decrease your strength, your sexual drive as time progresses. People means the astrologers generally say so. People with retrograde Mars may lose interest in this kind of sexual issues, sexual matters, and they may want to become a monk. They may want to become monks also. Even Venus retrograde also, right? They may want to become monks. But becoming monk, kind of becoming a sage kind of nature is much more enhanced in retrograde Venus there rather than retrograde Mars. Retrograde Mars is at least you may have less courage or less anger, that is fine. But retrograde Venus is something like you're not you're feeling some kind of insecurity in relationships. So that is not at all good, right? So retrograde Venus can make a person a sage or monk. It's not like a very famous sage or very famous monk. Something like he wants to get out of all the relationships because he maybe once he was stuck in some relationship, right? So yeah, retrograde Venus is not so auspicious, and retrograde Mars is also a bit inauspicious. And then retrograde Jupiter good, retrograde Mercury good. Okay, now let us understand the 10th house energy. So Jupiter, Moon and Rahu are present. So Rahu is an enemy of this Moon. Rahu is an enemy of Jupiter also. So this is a very interesting combination here. Rahu always fights with this Jupiter because Jupiter is a very auspicious guy. He's related to Devatas. He's related to the gods, and Rahu is related to demons. And Rahu fights with Jupiter, and Rahu fights with Moon also, because Rahu and Moon are enemies. So because of this 10th house, this person may achieve a lot because of this Jupiter and Moon. Jupiter 26 degree and Moon is at 9 degree. Even though the distance is not very close, they are not very closely placed, but still Jupiter Moon conjunction makes this person, through his profession he is going to achieve greatest heights. At the same time, because of this Rahu, right, because of this Rahu, the person may experience some kind of mental tensions, a lot of mental tensions. But at the same time, because of Jupiter Moon, he is going to achieve great heights, right? Mental tensions because of Rahu. What this person has to do? He has to wear yellow sapphire, because Jupiter, yellow sapphire is the gemstone related to Jupiter. Yellow sapphire is a gemstone related to Jupiter. So by wearing yellow sapphire, he is strengthening that Jupiter. And Jupiter happened to be the lord of second and fifth house. It's very good, fine, right? So, and what about the lord of 10th house? Lord of 10th house sun is with Ketu. So professionally, Ketu would not make the person disturbed, but this sun is with Ketu, right? Sun represents father and Ketu is a kind of detachment. So because of this, what happens? The person's, this native's father may experience illness, and even in the early age, and even more, even we may say this native's father means he would means the person has a kind of the native has a detachment with his father in his early life itself, in his childhood itself, because of that sun Ketu conjunction. Okay, and even Ketu is present in fourth house, so fourth house represents mother. Because of Ketu's presence in fourth house, person may get means his mother also would get illness in his early age, in when means when, in her early age. So mother, why mother? Fourth house represents mother. Okay, Ketu is present there, so this native's mother may get illness in her early age. Now sun and Ketu are together, so the person would, means the native would get detached from his father in this native's early age itself, because of the sun Ketu conjunction is not good, right? So that's what we can say. But professionally it's very good. Jupiter moon very good, and at the same time lot of mental tensions. He's an achiever with lot of mental tensions. Let's take another. So that is the strength of 10th house. Can understand the 10th house energy, right? 10th house lord sun is with Ketu, so professionally Ketu would not disturb this guy, but as sun represents father, in that angle he is going to disturb this native. Even Ketu is in fourth house, so his mother also would get disturbed. Let's take another this one. So where is 10th house? Yeah, this Aries. So no planets are present here, and the 10th lord is Mars. Where is Mars? So Mars is in second house. Okay, fine. Mars is with Venus and Jupiter. Okay, good, right? This is good, fine. But how is this Mars? Mars is in forward motion, and Jupiter, Venus, with Jupiter and Venus, good guys. Okay, good things will go fine for him. At the same time, you can see the aspects also. Anyone is watching this Mars, Saturn 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, Saturn is watching this particular Mars. But anyways, we can only see this particular, it's a Saturn aspect is on second house, right? That is related to income. So income would be a bit slow, maybe some initially, because of the Saturn, right? Saturn is a slowly moving planet, he would delay the things. So second house is related to second house is house of income. Now initially it may get delayed, but later this guy is going to achieve a lot, as Mars Venus Jupiter conjunction is an excellent conjunction, and 10th house lord happened to be the Mars, and that's very good. And Venus is also very good, and Jupiter is also very good. Yeah, it's an excellent thing, you can say. A lot of strength, because 10th lord Mars in Leo, and you can see, right, lot of strength for 10th lord. Only the malefic aspect of Saturn is present here. It's okay, at least you can reduce some marks, but he has lot of strength. This Mars has lot of strength, have the 10th lord. Great. Yeah, now you just take another. And where is the 10th lord is Venus. He is in 5th house. See the connection. 10th lord in the 5th house. Excellent thing, because you know, right, 1 4 10 5 comma 9 are the best houses in any horoscope, and the relation between these houses is also going to give very auspicious results. So 10th lord is in 5th house, so it's one of the excellent things. So this particular Venus has lot of strength, and even this Venus is present in its own sign. So what a strength! This Venus has lot of strength, and 10th and 5 connection, and anyone is watching this particular guy is Venus. I think Saturn 7 8 9 10, no, Saturn is not watching. And what about Mars? Where is Mars? Mars is here, so no, Mars is also not. No one is watching this Venus, and Venus is in 28 degree. See, this guy is going to achieve lot through his work, because see, this 10th lord is Venus, is connected with 5th house. 1 4 1 4 10 5 comma 9 are the best houses. So 10th lord is in, and what about this Venus? Venus is having lot of strength. See the degrees also, 28 degree Venus means this Venus experienced 28 degrees of 5th house. So how much matured this particular Venus is? A very matured Venus, right, in the 5th house, and he is the lord of 10th house. So this person is going to do a lot of good karma. He's going to earn a lot of good things through his profession also. Let's take the final example and then we'll end up this video. So 10th house lord again here is Taurus, Venus. So Venus is in 3rd house. So what is his strength? He is with lot many planets. Venus is with Mars. So this Venus is 27 degree. So he traveled 27 degree of Libra. So he's matured guy. This Venus is much matured guy, and Moon is also a very soft planet, just like so this Moon is 22 degree. Fine, Moon and Venus are closely. This Mars is also fine here, and Ketu is just going to provide some kind of detachment somewhere in the future, but this Ketu is far away from Venus, because Venus is 27 degree and Ketu traveled only 5 degree of Libra. So the 22 degree of difference between Ketu and Venus. So this is fine, right? Only thing is he's present in 3rd house, so that is not so bad. It's very good. This Venus has good strength. He's in conjunction with Moon. So even this person may become a musician also, because of Moon's close conjunction. This person may become a musician because the two soft planets are in conjunction, Venus and Moon, right? Both are female planets. So musician or singer, painter, any artist can become. And yeah, that is good. And what else? Anyone is aspecting this? 1 2 3, Saturn is not aspecting. Rahu is, of course, it's going to enhance stuff if it is in conjunction. Of course, if Rahu is in conjunction, it is going to enhance. It's just watching the malefic aspect of Rahu is not good here, you can say. Rahu is watching this Venus, right? So that's a bad thing. So it is reducing the strength. Rahu is just reducing the strength of this particular Venus, but Venus has gained a lot of strength because it's in conjunction with Moon and Mars. Ketu is, of course, is not going to disturb much here. Fine. Venus is having enough strength. Very good. So that is how you can just decide the strength of a planet, right? So thank you. This is how you just analyze your 10th lord and try to understand horoscope. Thank you.